So another game, Alekhine Capablanca. This is the match entirely dedicated to the Queen's Gambit decline. So game 21, d4, d5, c4, e6, the traditional layout of that match. Funnily enough, Capablanca never played Carlsbad structure. I wonder what could be the outcome, because when he switched to Carlsbad structure in game 27, he completely outplayed Alekhine, but he never tried to play classical Carlsbad taking on d5 at move 4. So Alekhine was deviating from Cambridge Springs to a classical Queen's Gambit, but he always tried to be more creative and more aggressive, so playing a6, and as we know now, c5 is the best move. Capablanca also switched to cd5, but in this game he played an innocent a3, and then after h6, bishop h4, Alekhine took on c4, and his game was released after playing b5. So here there was a moment that nobody paid much attention to. Alekhine played bishop b7, which looks natural, but in fact it allowed Capablanca to play b4, thus stopping black from releasing its game with c5. And all the recommendations that were produced by Alekhine and other commentators, they were in my view not very convincing. And in the game, my great predecessors, I studied this moment and came to the conclusion that white could hope for an advantage. While after castle c5, black had no problems whatsoever. And of course, playing c5 immediately at move 11, black could avoid all this hassle. So c5, dc5, knight c5, I guess Capablanca, after a very complicated game 20, where he had an exchange in the after a very lively duel in the opening. The game was already discussed in one of the previous segments. So he probably wanted to have a rest day, and he didn't pay much attention to all the moves, hoping that after exchanges of the d and c pawns, the game would end the draw fairly quickly. So knight d4, rook c8, b4, and here, first unpleasant surprise, instead of playing knight ce4, which looked to be very, very natural, but then led to more exchanges and in eventual draw, Alekhine made a very strong move, knight cd7. So it looks like a retreat, but in fact, going backward, Alekhine pointed out that knight on c3 is not a good piece, because it stands on the way of white rook and it plays no active role. While black knight goes on d7 now could eventually appear on c4 either via b6 or via e5. So that's why we can consider that already white has certain problems to resolve. One of the recommendations which should be considered seriously was to play here knight b3, trying to place knight on a5. Not just to attack the bishop and push to an 8, but moreover to protect c4 square from black knight. But Capablanca was too complacent. Bishop g3, knight b6, queen b3, which is another dubious move. Knight b3 again was a better option. And now after knight d5, bishop f3, suddenly rook c4, you can see how the position has changed. And again, it's all happening like overnight. It's here, rook c8, move 14, all innocent, just position is roughly equal, and just 4 moves later, you could also see that black piece is making progress. The c4 square is weak, while c5 square is just, white can only dream about it. So Capablanca tried to occupy this square, but eventually here he made a very serious mistake. The only chance of keeping some tension was to play queen b1, where black had to find a way of making progress. Also, I still think black had a certain edge. While taking on c4 and allowing black knight to appear on c4, Capablanca let his game to deteriorate very quickly. Rook c1, queen e8, knight c3, and rook c8. So the pieces were exchanged. So light pieces were exchanged, but just look at the difference in the quality of the white pieces and black pieces. Every black piece looks superior to its white counterpart. You have bishop on g3, which does absolutely nothing, while black bishop not only potentially attacking these pawns on a3 and b4, but also could go on f6, throwing white knight from this position on d4. White knight on d4 is just standing there trying to protect white weaknesses, while black knight on c4 is dominating the position. And of course black king on d5 is incompatible to its passive counterpart on b3. I guess Capablanca already lost his nerves and played the rest of the game quite poorly. The best chance here was probably to play f3, trying to bring bishop back to the defense, while I still think that probably position is already, white's position is nearly lost. While after a4, Alekhine found a very nice tactical refutation, and after knight went on f3, played bishop b2, and white's position collapsed, because after rook d1, then it's a nice line, b takes a2, queen takes a2, knight b6, rook d5, knight takes a4, and eventually rook on b4, pawn on b4 will be lost. That's another demonstration of helpless white's pieces on the king side, while black light pieces are playing an active role in the king in the queen side, where all the events are taking place. So Capablanca played rook e1, but then after rook d8, exchange on b5, h3, Alekhine played e5, starting decisive advance in the center, rook b1, e4, and another mistake, knight d4, which stopped the agony. Knight e1 would be probably a better defense, but still after queen d2, queen c2, exchange, and rook goes on d2, the result of the game is predetermined. So knight d4, bishop takes d4. Now after e takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop f4, queen d3, the game has of course no interest for us to analyze. It will be lost. Capablanca played rook d1, and after simple knight d3, resign. So an amazing game because Capablanca was totally outplayed by Alekhine. Just after a very, very quiet opening, after virtually position where many players could, even modern players, could consider offering a draw as a logical result of this quiet development, while the great minds could always spot some potential weaknesses, some minor details, nuances that could allow them to develop initiative, which is not yet shown on the surface, but is just hiding somewhere in the bushes, waiting for a hunter to find it and present the new concept in the game.